Good morning, everybody. Buddy Way of Midland, Texas. Wanted to do a little video this morning and talk about strippers and conventions, also party. And I have a theory about Hailey Dunn, the famous missing murdered child that went missing in 2010 from Colorado City, Texas, which is about 80 miles from where I'm at in Midland. I've compiled some evidence, and I'm going to lead you through, go through this evidence because I have a feeling that it's possible her murder is connected back to the crimes here at my home, which I believe are connected to oil show parties and $1 million underground facilities, and I think it's well known that the Permian Basin International Oil Show is a convention, and conventions are infamous for going hand in hand with strippers and wild parties and drugs and all that. And they do that in Vegas all the time. Well, here in Midland, Odessa, which is sitting on one of the biggest oil fields in the nation, Permian Basin, they have an international oil show. Tens of thousands of people come to this oil show every 2 years. These parties that go on that are held by wealthy oil men are famous. Anybody who's lived in this area has heard about them. I mean, they were going on before I was born. And so I'm going to lead you through this evidence, and I think it's worthy of an investigation. What we can be sure of is that a little girl was murdered. We know that for a fact in this area, and nobody's been arrested, so we can be sure that her killers are still free, and that's a danger to all of us, to everybody, to all the children there that they haven't kidnapped yet, and to your grandchildren and to your children, and so if any citizen brings up valid leads, then they should be followed. And you're going to see in this video, these are very, very valid leads. And so I'm going to switch around, so look at the computer and show you the evidence. This is my Facebook. You can look it up if you want under Buddy Wayne Webb, or the URL is buddy.web.353. And I posted this to my Facebook this morning, and that's where I'm gonna pretty much just show you. This was the post I made. It makes sense that all strippers in the area were working at oil show parties, and Hailey Dunn's mom was a stripper, okay? And her name is Billy Dunn. That's what she goes by. And I tell you what, I'm gonna switch over and we'll just do a quick Google for image search for Hailey Dunn, and I'm gonna back this off and I'm gonna show you how famous she is. I compare her to John Benet Ramsey. It was on the national news, Nancy Grace, CBS, NBC, and so there's just millions of people know who this little girl is. There's speculation. There's Hailey Dunn bloggers out there, and just to show you, some of the pictures. This is a picture of Hailey Dunn's dad. This is Hailey and her mom, Billy Dunn, and the boyfriend, Sean Atkins, and I can't even tell you how many people that have tried to blame Sean, but they've never arrested him. And from the people that have contacted me, Sean wasn't there, and so you can see the missing posters there. Here we go. There's a $25,000 award at one time. You see her in her cheerleading outfit, etc. Okay. So what I did here, I went and see the down arrow, and I have this, basically I just wrote this up, and I'm not going to read that to you, but what I'm going to do is pop up the picture here, and these are screenshots that I've taken here, okay? And so remember, the headline was that it makes sense that all the strippers in the area were told to work the oil show party that come every 2 years, okay? And so here, this woman, Janice Freeman Driver, she's the one that told me. She says, "Now, buddy, I heard that Billy," and then that's Hailey's mom, "from a reliable source, and that Hailey was going with her as well, but staying in the dressing room while Billy Dunn worked the stripper pole," okay? So really, see, that was, that's what I was hearing, and that's not what the news is, terrible. I mean, I think they're active partying, trying to cover up these crimes, and leaving out, the public has never ever been informed that Hailey Dunn's mom was a stripper in the area. That seems to be, could be a clue, and I think. And then also there's a Facebook group, and these people are actually friends of Billy Dunn, and and here it's called Hope for Hailey Dunn Facebook group. And the admin of that group writes me, he says, keep in mind that while she was stripping, it was a third job because Clint didn't work. Clint is the dad. She's a nurse. She was doing secretarial work and stripping. Okay, so now basically I got confirmation. Multiple people said that Billy Dunn was a stripper in this area. Remember, Colorado City's 80 miles from here. Okay. And so, and what I wrote above, basically, I just broke down and I just did it with these little comments, copied and pasted, and then put a picture for evidence. And I said, Hailey Dunn was a 13-year-old Colorado City, Texas cheerleader that was reported missing 2 months after the 2010 Permian Basin International Oil Show. Her remains were found on March 16th. 2013, 2 days after I wrote the DOJ and suggested that somebody look in the underground facility near my home. I think I have a typo there because it was the 16th. Okay, and this is the email. This is a print screen of the email I sent to the Department of Justice on the 14th. Okay, and that's the email address I sent it to Ask the DOJ, the Department of Justice. And some of the things I wrote in this email was I have overwhelming evidence to support the allegations of underground facility. Okay, Hailey Dunn. Maybe she's being held by these slavers under my home right now. And then as you're going to see, 2 days later, on March 16th, her remains are found. Okay, well, that's highly suspicious, especially since she had been gone for over 2 years. And as soon as I suggest somebody comes, looks here in the underground facilities here in Midland near my home, all of a sudden they find her. Okay, so the next comment is, I was told about another young girl who was murdered at a party going on during the 2010 oil show because she refused to prostitute, and I believe this happened in the underground facility said to be near my home in Midland, Texas. The remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl was found outside of Midland in 2013, and it makes sense that that's possibly the girl I was told about. And then I have a link to a video on my YouTube channel called 2010 Oil Show Party Murder. Has a lot more evidence, names, everything, you know. That could be, I mean, that video alone, law enforcement could take that and bust this whole thing open and, you know, and stop this, you know. But anyways, here's from the news. This is from KMID here in Midland, and the Midland County Sheriff's Department continues investigation into remains found. The remains were determined to be a girl 14 to 21 years old. That was in 2013, found in 2013 off Interstate 20. And so I've long suspected that was the girl that my friend told me about was murdered at the oil show party she was at. Okay. It's possible this murder happened in an underground facility in my backyard that Google Maps seems to show is there. You can see this for yourself if you go to maps.google.com, look at my address, 3802 Fair Circle, and basically the block map shows a facility in my backyard, but the satellite map doesn't show it there, and you can't see it from above ground. And I believe that is one of the underground homes or facilities I was told about. Google Earth historical maps will show what looks like a large ditch that was cut coming out of the back of Home Depot and aimed at my house. And I don't have a picture of that, but I might get one. And I'm going to show you here. These are just print screens from Google Maps, and it just saved me some time. That building at the top's Home Depot, and then there's a secluded truck unloading lane, and there's my home. You can see where the arrow's at. I was shot, you know, by somebody under my home in 2012. And then in my backyard right there is showing a large underground facility, or a large facility in my backyard that's not seen from the satellite map. And I'm suspecting that's where the oil show parties were held, etc. And so, next comment. Another woman was recorded saying there were 4 3-bedroom, $1 million underground homes, and they were having pedophile parties down there. It's suspected it was possibly connected with swingers. These wild and famous parties are put on by wealthy oil men, and Jessica Hadley told me that she's been to many of these parties. Jessica said she wasn't the only girl that was raped or murdered because they didn't do whatever they were told. And then I put a link to a video on my YouTube channel called $1 Million Underground Facilities. That is the recorded phone call where the woman tells me about the underground homes. And here's Jessica here. I've been to 2,000 of them old shows, you know, and more than just that, one was murder or rape because she didn't do whatever they wanted her to do. And she goes on and she names names and etc. And but these weren't the only people that have told me. Rhonda Denman Rogers said underground facilities a half block away, you know. And so there's more than that. I mean, it's just an overwhelming amount of evidence. Okay. Besides me being shot by somebody under my home 2 weeks after reporting a suspected tunnel to the DEA with triple proof, I wasn't shot with my gun. Okay. And so let's go on. I tried to get my friend to report this murder, and she was afraid that high-level police were at the party. I suspect that some of them were the secret police who were seen at my home after I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home. And I put a link to a video called Secret Police Identified, and that has the security camera pictures from my bedroom. And the log shows that the police tried to disable my camera, and then, of course, the police report was withheld for 7 years before I found that it even existed. And that's what caused the secret police. You know, I had to offer a reward, and I was creating videos, and they become world famous. But basically, 6 years later, Empire Private Investigations collects the reward money, and they name all of the 11 secret police that were caught on camera, okay, in my house. 6 years I had pictures of police I couldn't get identified. That's unheard of. I mean, never happened before in the history of America. I had to offer that reward to get them identified, you know. And what even more amazing, 2 of them are no longer alive. Chad Simpson and Mike Naylor are dead. They died within 2 months of each other, and their names are not on the police report, you know. And then one of them, John Woodward, was a Martin County sheriff. Now he's a convicted felon, and he was the first one to arrive at my house. This is Midland County. Nobody's ever explained why a sheriff from a different county was at my house minutes after I survived a murder attempt, right? And so finally, when we get the police report, then these are the names we find on it. And what was in red was the same ones the private investigator identified. One of them was a crime scene investigator. Now, I mean, just imagine if a crime scene investigator is tampering with evidence in capital murder attempt on my life, we can assume that he's done it in multiple other murders and crimes, and we've got to go back and look at every piece of evidence he touched. It's going to be retrials for people convicted of murder, etc. You know, April Chandler, she, minutes after I crawled out, about an hour after I crawled out, she writes on a report, Mr. Webb caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound due to his paranoia. But I caused myself. I'm home minding my own business. Somebody came to my home and shot me. Triple proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. How could I cause myself to shoot? Be shot? If I'm home minding my own business. And I think what she was saying is that I had trapped a burglar, but I didn't know it. And some corrupt police that were at the underground party come in and sneaked into my home and shot me. That's really what I'm guessing has happened right now. And then here's these names are not even identified by Empire Private Investigations, but they only identified the people that were caught on camera. And what's amazing is Dylan Hale, Joe Ramirez, Kenny Angel, Matt Davis, and Dickie. But five police officers, when you looked at the police report, are listed as being at my house or in my home, and they're not seen on the camera. That told me they were under my home, and somebody under my home shot me. And that would be Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Hale, and Angel. Okay, and Ramirez might have been. It just never. And the police report never showed him being on scene. But he's a maybe. So, anyways. It's suspected that these secret police at my home involved in the murder attempt on my life were possibly the ones that were at the 2010 oil show party that my friend was afraid of. That's where the little girl was murdered. Okay, next comment. Many people are asking if Hailey was dug up and moved because of my email, and if Lloyd Curse was somehow chosen to find her remains. And interestingly, I noticed I had over 150 mutual Facebook friends with this man, and some of those friends are ones that I suspected were connected with the underground facility. Parties, excuse me. Has Curtis ever been to an oil show or the famous parties? I think, a legitimate law enforcement officer would want to investigate this, because Curtis finds the remains of Hailey out in Scurry County, and more than a half dozen people are saying that she was killed and buried over in Odessa, Ector County, and so, that's where I was wondering, that's kind of suspicious there. And then you got 145 mutual Facebook friends, people that maybe, know about the underground facilities and the parties going on here. And so, as I said, the one thing we can be sure of is there's a child killers out there, and every lead should be examined. And and of course, if that's the case, Curtis Lloyd could be charged, and as an accessory and Hailey's murder, and that's a capital murder, possibly death penalty case. I think I would be talking if I knew something. This is I survived, so it's not a death penalty case. But the murder of Hailey Dunn is a death penalty case, you know. Okay, I'm wondering if the reason we haven't seen any arrests for those that murdered this little girl is because they'd exposed the underground facilities and also parties. And I put a link to a video I made, Hailey Dunn timeline, and that's basically just this happened and this happened and this happened and that happened. And the thing here is that you know, I know I've seen posts from Hailey's dad and the private investigator where they slander my name, they defame my character. Oh, he's crazy and all that. And you know, and what I'm doing is posting screenshots and recorded phone calls of what other people, these half a dozen people that are documented saying Hailey was killed and buried over in Odessa. Not one of them was Buddy that said that. And all I did was take the screenshot or recorded the phone call. But you know, they're going after the messenger basically and defaming my character and hoping that that is enough where nobody will follow these leads. This Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.